live stream. Just gonna wait a moment while people come in. I'm just gonna press play on this while we do that, while we just start up. Yep, looks like I'm live. Alright, so I've made a little bit of progress, not much, just a little bit of progress since my last stream. I changed the color of the burnt version of him, and I adjusted some of the timing, that sort of thing. There we go. Also, I've just taken the roughs and I've just temporarily disabled the roughs for the character animation, and just so that we can kind of see the fire and how that's going to look. Alright, while people just come in, I'm going to just make a bit of a start. Let me just check. Yep, looks like we got things going. Okay, things are looking pretty good. There seems to be a gap here. Oh, they aren't. To snap to nearest frame. No, it is. Oh yeah, no, it is. Okay, cool. I'm just gonna select all the keyframes here and just move them one back because I just needed to. Okay. I'm going to turn on the roughs again for the character so that we can have something to base our poses off of. That should be there. Oh. Oh, strange. Oh no, not strange at all. Okay. Whoa, okay, we're just gonna go all the way. We're gonna copy the grease pencil keyframe for the head. And actually, I'm just gonna duplicate all of it, aren't I? Just copy that entire pose. And just make it 95% of the way there, except the head, which will be 100%. Okay, and then I just need to adjust this. Just gonna put that there. Let me just make sure this is public. Yep, everything seems to be alright. Cool. Hey there, glad you could join us. I hope that's a positive wow. Like, wow, it's so good to have another stream. Not, wow, this guy again. Cool. Hey Joel, you're blending it. You're blending it. Hey, thanks, Joel. I appreciate it. Jolly moly, have you considered entering the loop-de-loop competition? You can win free 6 months of Toon Boom Harmony. That's what I'm working on right now. The loop-de-loop competition. Oh, I was just asking if you've considered entering the loop-de-loop competition, which is what I'm working on my entry right now. If you win the local, if you win best Auckland loop you get 6 months of Toon Boom Harmony for free. Too busy? Yeah, fair enough. Thanks, appreciate it. Sorry. Oh. Malinka18, thanks for joining us. No, I am animating with bones, but I've got it set to wire view, so over in the viewport display. Usually they're displayed like this, but I've got them set to wire just so that they take up less visual space. Renlado, sorry about the pronunciation. Welcome, thanks for joining us. And Sanchayan, welcome from India. Nice to have you here. I'm glad you could join us. And Malinka18, yeah, I am animating with bones, but a lot of it is just like editing the actual grease pencil objects frame by frame, so it definitely doesn't look, that combined with the fact that it's wires doesn't wired view for the armature does make it look like I'm not using bones. Polo Loco, hola, glad you could join us, thank you. This is quite a difficult pose. Let me just turn on, oh no, never mind, it's not there. Oh, cool. Hopefully we'll be able to make each other more productive by working alongside each other like this. You're beginning to blender. Why didn't you use bones? Will that not give you much flexibility? I actually, it doesn't look like it. Which I was talking to Malanka earlier. I actually am using bones. You see these little sticks here? Those are the bones. But in you can change the viewport display. So this is how they usually display. But you can make them look like sticks. That might be a better way to use it actually. You make them look like or boxes or this shape. I've been animating it with the wire, so I don't know if you can tell. Maybe YouTube's compressing it, but it's really really thin. I'll make it stick shapes so it's more obvious, but you can see I actually am animating with bones. Need to move that a frame back. Okay. Is that, oh, why does that? Oh, I need to move that frame back. Okay, there we go. Am I using any add-ons? Let me think about that. I don't think I am actually. I think this is just a vanilla Blender at the moment. I don't know why, but I feel like I don't like using too many add-ons even though I've made an add-on in the past to automate workflow, generally I try and keep things as simple as possible. And for me, that means as few add-ons as possible. Although, oh no, I am using some add-ons. I'm using the Grease Pencil Tools add-on. That's really helpful. That allows me to scrub the keyframe by just holding Alt and dragging the middle mouse button. Actually no, that's default. I was gonna say well the scroll wheel, but that's just how Blender is. That I love this way of scrubbing the timeline. I think it's really helpful. But it also allows me to do other things, like if I want to edit a grease pencil object, I can just select box deform and like edit it like a lattice and do that sort of thing, and then just press enter and then boom, it's a whole new shape. I'll just undo that though. Yeah. Didn't know you could change the shape of bones. Yeah, it's really helpful. In fact, you can also change the individual shape of bones, like very custom. So you can, if you go to the bone settings, you can choose a mesh object, and then that bone will take on the shape of that mesh object. So it'll look like, if you want to make a really custom rig, then you can make a bunch of different, I think usually they call them widgets, but it's just a mesh with a certain shape, and then you tell the bone, I want you to look like this mesh. It's really helpful. You like the timeline feature? Yeah, no, I can't live without this now. This is great. Just being able to scrub through, especially if you're doing like frame by frame animation, you're often like in full screen so that you've got as much drawing space as you can. And you don't really want to exit full screen just so you can scrub the timeline. So it's nice that even here you can go back and forth on the timeline. What project are you working on? Love the content. I'm working on my entry for the Loop-de-Loop animation competition. It's a monthly competition where you have to make a looping animation based on a theme, and this month's theme is hot. So I'm making I'm making an animation of the Human Torch setting himself on fire for Human Torch from Fantastic Four. Yeah, I'll show you the. If I just turn off the. Oh, that's the wrong one. Okay. So you can see what it'll hopefully look like. He's gonna say flame on, he'll set on fire, and he gets freaked out and rolls on the floor, puts himself out. Yo, who is this handsome fella? Thank you very much. I appreciate the compliment. Flame on, exactly. Yeah, thanks. Right, where am I? Okay. Almost there, actually. Okay. I need to turn those roughs back on. There we go. Insert blank keyframe. Alright. Oh. Oh no. Crashed. That doesn't happen often. Oh, strange. How long have I been working on the project? I guess technically since like about mid-December last year. But I've only like a couple of actual, like I've only worked on it a few times since then. Like I did the rough animation all at once in like a couple of hours, and then I left it for basically the rest, like most of December, and then I did a little bit. Uh, Actually no, I kind of left it for the rest of the year, and then just a few days ago I started with the rig, and I did some of the animation, and then I did another stream I think, and now on this one. So yeah, it's not been long. But it also has been a couple of months technically. I mentioned that the competition that I'm entering this into is a monthly competition, but they made an exception for this month just because a lot of people are busy around December, so they were like, oh, let's make it December and January, one theme, one competition, which I think was nice. That crash broke my heart. Yeah, I've fortunately I've been saving reasonably regularly, so I didn't lose much at all. It also it gave me the opportunity to show off my new application launcher. It's actually, it's called no, it's called Wofi, and it's really cool. You can type in Blender, or Critter, or whatever. You know, it's really good. And I customized it so that the colors are really nice. Oh, sorry. What is going on? My keyboard was all messed up. Okay, now it's fixed. Okay, there we go. I've got this weird setup where I've got this window on my tablet just for like drawing and sculpting and such. Whereas I'm actually recording my my main monitor, but for some reason when I like switch to another, you know, workspace or something, and then I switch back, sometimes things don't, like I'm trying to hold down shift and middle mouse button and it doesn't realize I'm holding shift until I go down to my other window here and do it there, and then it figures it out and I can do it up here. It's a bit of a weird bug, but it's not too bad. I should probably report it, but that's like so much effort. Weird. Okay, I'm not doing that then. Do you usually work on projects alone, or do you work on projects with other people? That's usually alone, but you know that's changed recently a bit. I Hi Mike, glad to see you here. Let's go Sketch Scroll live stream. Yeah, I've been to answer your question, Polo Loco. Um, in the past, I've always worked on projects alone. But this year things have been different. Like obviously the last couple of years, I've been lucky enough to have an actual job as an animator, which so obviously that hasn't been alone. And I've loved that. That's been really good. But even outside of work, I've had the opportunity to work on some other projects. Like early in the year, I helped. I guess not early in the year, technically last year. I helped one of my friends slash colleagues with their student film, and before that, I worked on a 48-hour film festival, which was a lot of fun. I actually did a live stream with that, so that was cool. And a darn good one indeed, Mike. Oh, Mike, I should show you what I'm working on. I'm animating, is it Johnny Storm? Is that his name? From Fantastic Four? Hang on. So yeah, he's getting set on fire. And he's freaking out a bit. Yeah, having a good time with this one. Oh wait, no, that should be white. Yeah. You know, I don't know what I'm thinking. You know, I spend all day animating, and then I come home and I'm like, you know what I could do? I could animate some more. It's a good thing I enjoy it. This interpolation is gonna look totally messed up. Whoa, yeah. Okay. Oof. I'm just gonna select all of it, duplicate that next keyframe, and then I'll start going backwards. Yeah. Don't burn out. I tend to focus on other creative outlets at home. Yeah, it's probably a good idea to find something else to do. I'm thinking maybe I should focus on like 3D stuff at home while I'm doing 2D work, because it might, you know, work some of the different muscles creatively. But yeah, it would be a shame if I burnt out doing personal work. You know, wouldn't want my actual work to suffer. Something more tactile. Mini painting was a big one for you, right? Yeah, no, that makes sense. I feel like with digital animation, I do feel like I'm sometimes missing something in like the fact I can't feel stuff, I can't smell stuff. But I don't know. It it just takes so much more time to set up that sort of thing. Um, Although I was thinking maybe I should start doing some like 3D sculpture and like learn how to do some 3D printing, which I think mainly inspired by you, Mike, because I like seeing all the models and stuff. But I don't like the idea of buying something that I could make, but I could really get into like making it and then getting someone to print it out, and then I could fill my desk with my own sculptures. That could be a lot of fun. And hopefully use different creative energy than what I'm spending at work while I'm animating in 2D. 3D printing is another world. You have one, but it's not for everyone. Yeah, I know that 3D printing is quite its own thing, its own hobby in of itself. And I don't know if it's something I want to get into, but I know uh, Mike here. He knows a guy who you can who has like a, I guess it's called a print shop. Where you just send him the files and he prints it really high quality. So I could imagine myself doing that, where I just go, oh yeah, I'll make something really cool, um, and then I'll just have it printed by some third party rather than like buying a 3D printer for myself. Because then I don't have to worry about all the technical stuff, and it would probably end up being higher quality than anything I'd make myself. You know, a bunch of printers more passionate, more interested in the hobby. Yeah, I feel like it doesn't quite make sense to me because it's so out of my wheelhouse. But I know from other people telling me that even if you're not making the 3D models yourself, 3D printing is just so complicated to get it right, that people spend hours and hours just trying to get there get their projects looking just how they want them. You prefer making models to printing them, to be honest? Yeah, I think that's kind of what I'm getting at. I wouldn't know because I've never tried it, but I would imagine that I'd be very much in the same boat where, yeah, making something for 3D printing, that sounds like a good time, but then actually getting it printed, maybe not. So I do like the idea of just sending it off to someone who's more into that sort of thing, even if it ends up being a little bit expensive. Like a lot of my colleagues have their desks filled with little models that they've bought. Usually like they wouldn't make them themselves. Mike paints a lot of models, which looks fun. But yeah, I can imagine myself getting into 3D modeling, 3D sculpting, making all my favorite characters and populating my desk with them. That could be a lot of fun. Would you want to model your own stuff, original characters? I've never really been one for making original characters. I don't know why, but I feel like it's this huge thing in the art community where everyone's like, "Oh, what's your favorite OC?" And I'm like, "I don't know, I don't really do that." Um, there's obviously nothing wrong with that, but it's just not up my alley. So I think I'd just make like Green Lantern models and Superman, you know, that sort of thing. Thanks, Lysias. Thanks for joining. That boot mask. What do you mean by boot mask? Oh, I see. Yeah. The mask for the boot. Yeah, I know it's good. I try to avoid masking in grease pencil just because sometimes it can be a bit finicky or even buggy at times. But I haven't had any problems on this project, so I'm happy about that. I don't know, I think I might need to just copy the first frame maybe? Oh no, it's the opposite of anything. I'm just gonna get rid of these and turn this blue. I'm taking notes for more board game projects, yeah. Is that a mask? I thought it was another layer. It's both. That's how I'm masking grease pencil works. If you look at the layers panel, I've got the mask layer and then the base that it's masked to, and you can see on this top layer I've checked mask. I've told it what layer to mask to. So yeah, it's both. It's another layer and it's a mask. Yesterday you experimented with incorporating my workflow into your own to improve productivity. It's actually good. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Sometimes I don't know. Like I get so, I don't know, tunnel visioned on my own workflow that I have no idea if it even makes any sense to other people. But then every time I make a video, people seem to seem to find it helpful, so that's encouraging. It kind of tells me I'm on the right track, or at least I'm doing something that makes sense. Strange, didn't I animate this on 2s? Why is it not actually on 2s? It's on 4s. Oh, except for that one, which is on 3s. Right, there we go. Now it's on 4s. Okay, there we go. How long do you think this animation will take to finish, including the flames? I'm really terrible at estimating time frames, mainly because when I get into it, time kind of ceases to exist. I mean, time is really just a construct, a social construct anyway, so who's to say, you know? Maybe I'm gonna estimate in total 20 hours of work. Might be undershooting it a bit. It's like half a week. No, that doesn't make any sense. Because I spent like 2 hours, then 4, 6. Maybe it's been like 10 hours so far. So it's probably not going to be another 20. Oh, sorry, another 10. So maybe 15 hours all up. 15 to 20, I'll say. How much movement will that take to finish? Yeah, I see what you did there, because time doesn't exist. But you know, not much, because I'm just sitting in my chair. I bet nothing's really happening. And even on screen, you know, I do this. It's not actually moving. It's just different lights lighting up. So there's very little movement really, which means it's almost done from a time point of view. I don't know why, but when I scrub the timeline normally, it seems to be skipping over frame 200. Like it's going every other frame, which is really annoying. I have to alt scroll wheel to get the right frame. Don't know why that is. What if I zoom in? No, it's really just snap. Is it this? Is it this? Yeah, there you go. I had a cursor snapping. Set the frames though. Ah, frame step to 2. Okay, cool. That was the issue. Oh, but that's really interesting. I can set it to keyframes instead, and now I guess if this was not perfectly aligned to a specific frame, I could still snap to it? No, apparently not. Okay, I don't know what that's about then. Going back to what we were talking about before, if I wanted to do a live stream where I did a 3D sculpting for like a 3D printing project, would you guys be interested in watching that? I know it's kind of outside of my usual wheelhouse where I'm animating in grease pencil, but it could be a fun project. Let me know what you guys think if you'd watch a live stream while I'm doing something like that. You'll be religiously here. You do the same thing. Sculpt and love 2D animation. Okay, cool. So at least I know at least one person will stick around even if I'm not doing grease pencil stuff. I appreciate that. Maybe if I use a 2D shader. Yeah, I don't see why I wouldn't be able to do that. I think if I was doing that sort of project, the goal would be to have like a 3D sculpt at the end of it, or like a print at the end of it, a 3D print. So it doesn't really need any shading, technically. But I see no reason why I couldn't, do both. Do a little digital render with a 2D shader, and then also print it out, or rather have it printed, because like I was saying, I wouldn't do that myself. Pretty happy so far. It's really coming along. We might even get to, oh, actually, before I say that, I've already been animating for an hour. We might even get to starting the fire frame by frame animation. That would be really fun to do. Oh, it's tin thistle. Okay. Right now you're working on your master's project. You don't have a team yet because of budget, but that's why you chose to use my method to help you finish. And it's still on research and development. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's really cool. I'm glad that that my workflow has been helpful to help you finish. Although I don't know if it's still an R&D, you know, maybe you'll find another workflow that will be better suited for your needs. But you know, that's really good. I'm glad to hear it. For your master's project, that's really cool. Is that a master's in animation or something else? This is the part of this workflow that I don't like, when you create a new pose and everything looks really ugly until you go through and fix it. Sticking to this? Cool. I'm glad to hear it. Masters of Fine Art, you chose animation because you have been with it for a long time. That's really cool. Yeah. It's already 8 o'clock. Wait, it's already almost 9, quarter to 9. Oh. See you tomorrow, Mike. Have a lovely evening. Thanks for joining us. should, hang on. Going to recommend that all your students follow you. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. What so you're a teacher? What are you teaching specifically? An animation lecturer at SAE Institute in South Africa. Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. You know, we might not make it to the fire effects this stream, but I do think we stand a good chance of finishing the character animation for at least this stage. It's looking pretty cool. Just a few more in-betweens to do, and we're pretty much there. I think there might be a little bit of slidey feet there at the end. Oh, it's not so bad. Oh, it kind of is important though. That's a bit better. Thank you, Potzilla. Much appreciated. I'm really happy with how it's coming together. I think it's hard to say because everyone else is also is really everyone else is really talented. But I don't know. I think I stand a chance at winning this month, potentially. Though that's really not why I'm doing it. Because the prize is 6 months of Toon Boom Harmony, and I discovered last time that I won that the Linux version of Toon Boom is a buggy mess. So unfortunately, can't really do much about that. I got it working for like a couple hours, and then it just stopped, unfortunately. It has the potential to work, but I've yet to unlock that potential. I haven't actually tried using the Windows version through Proton or Wine, but I suspect it wouldn't work. Just because Wine is usually used for like really simple applications that like don't have like license validation, that sort of thing. And Proton's really made for video games, and it does a really great job of that. But you know, I from what I hear, doesn't do so good at like creative software, where like paid creative software. So like Moho, Photoshop, and I suspect Toon Boom's in that category too. But also, I don't really have a huge incentive to use Toon Boom. So really, I just want to know. I just want to make the Linux version better. You know. So I've been talking to like the support team for Toon Boom, and they've been really great. And hopefully, because of my discussions with the support team at Toon Boom, in maybe, you know, the next release, it'll have an actually functional Linux version. Why is that not working properly? I'm trying to copy it. Why isn't that bone copying the keyframes properly? Oh, it didn't have the keyframes applied. That's why. Okay. Time for in-betweens now. Whoa! Okay, I'll leave that in between for now. I'll do this. Personally think that mastering grease pencil and character rigging in Blender is way better than you winning. Thanks, I appreciate it. Yeah, no, I think you're right. Each project is valuable in of itself, no matter what external thing it may or may not achieve, you know. Gaming Hoarder, appreciate it. Yeah, no, I'm really happy with the pipeline that I've developed over the last year or so. I feel like for a long time I was so focused on making like pretty rigs, something that you could put in like a tech demo or something, but then at the cost of like flexibility and animation quality, you know. Whereas this year I've focused a bit more, or rather last year, I focused a bit more on keeping things simple, keeping things fast, and giving you enough flexibility to just make a really good animation. It's 9 o'clock. I should really start winding down soon. Because I've got work tomorrow, and I find that when I stay up too late, it really affects the quality of my work the next day. Whoa. There we go. I had the wrong end of the bone. That's crazy. Uh-oh. Okay, good. We're so close. It's a very hot night tonight. What's the other one? Oh, weird. Let me just put that in human torch. Human torch. Okay. There we go. Oh. For most of you watching, it's probably middle of winter, right? But here in New Zealand, it's still summer. And it's hot today. Although I hear it's really bad in Australia. There are like a bunch of forest fires and it's getting up to like 45 degrees Celsius, something ridiculous like that. Yeah, no, I'll take New Zealand weather over that any day of the week. Yana means yes, I understand, but no. Yana, yeah. That means yes, I understand, and then yes again, but not committal. It's like I'm not too bothered about it, you know. I'm not overly I'm appropriately enthusiastic, but I am saying yes. That's what yenam yeah means. You have pretty good level of animation skill, but most of the time you do cutout style animation. You ever thought about doing traditional pencil or anime style animation? Yeah. No, I mean, so I love all forms of animation, whether it's stop motion, cutout, 3D, traditional 2D. I just love like designing motion, I guess. You know, it's all like the same skills really. However, I also really enjoy the technical aspects that come with cutout animation. I also really don't enjoy how time-consuming traditional animation is. And all animation is time-consuming, but I just, oh man, traditional animation is something else. And there's also, there's something that I just can't figure out, where if you make a mistake, like inconsistent volume or something, I don't know how to fix it efficiently, you know? Like you kind of just have to redraw so much stuff when you do something wrong. I do still enjoy it, especially if it's like just roughs. Like when I animated the roughs for this character, where are they? When I animated these roughs here, I really enjoyed it because It was really low pressure. It was great. But I think if I had to go clean it up, that might be a little too much for me, you know? Actually, let me just, I can show you a little bit of the frame by frame, something I've done. I do really like frame by frame, like effects animation. But let me just show you one thing that I did. Here. So that was an animation I made in Blender, frame by frame, that I was really proud of. But again, you can see I kind of gave up halfway through the cleanup phase. Just because it's so time consuming. Whereas I feel like with cutout animation, it's like you're dancing with the computer, you know, to try and get it done quicker. Sometimes you're fighting the computer, but it's still good. Oh, I didn't finish this pose. main reason you ask if it's about frame by frame is because you've got the skill. If you want to do that, I love the way you do frame by frame and then do cut out on top of it, which feels so smooth. Yeah, I think this is what I really like about the workflow that I have now. It's all about super simple rigs, but because it kind of mixes just simple bone rigged animation with like warping the grease pencil layers frame by frame, it kind of lets you do a rough animation and then the rig is like fast cleanup, you know? Whereas in the past, my rigs were they were really fancy and really easy to use, but they were so limited that even if you did a rough animation, you wouldn't be able to match it with the rig, you know? Whereas with this workflow, like, can you imagine if I had a more complicated rig that was like in this pose, there wouldn't be a chance that I could do this pose where it's like a top-down kind of perspective. Wow, is this 2D in Blender? Yes, it is. Thanks for joining us. But yeah, it's all 2D in Blender. It's good. It's a lot of fun. How long have I been using Blender? Oh, probably 7 or 8 years. You have to see your past streams, which makes total sense of using rig. But with this particular character, why do you choose just simple parenting? Because I don't think you did a full 360 with this character. You know, I didn't do a full 360. I knew that going into it, I wasn't going to need multiple angles. So why didn't I just do simple parenting? Like without a rig, like without bones at all? I don't like doing that because with an armature object, all of the keyframes are like within the object, right? Whereas when you've got animation for the head and animation for the arm and animation for the forearm, etc., etc., even though they're all playing in sync, they're very separate, you know? They're like all on different actions. I think that might be a bit different now with 5.0. Blender changed the way the actions work, so it might be a little bit different. But I like how in an armature it's all consolidated. Whereas with if you try and animate different objects, like I saw a while ago, someone made a grease pencil rig, but instead of using armatures, they had a bunch of empty objects. So if you go Shift A and then you go empty, and you can have like a plane axis, or you can have a cube, that sort of thing, where they're just like these shapes that don't contain anything that gets rendered. It's just like for parenting, right? And that's okay for really simple rigs, but because each one has its animation kind of separated, it can get a bit confusing when you try and organize it. So I prefer to have everything in an armature instead. And obviously it would be nice if, you know, the actual grease pencil information was also in an armature, but that's not possible, unfortunately. So that grease pencil keyframes kind of exist separately. Like they can't even be stored in an action. Really close. Okay, I just want to interpolate that feet flipping part. I'll do the same over here. Lovely. Yeah, I'm really happy with that. Yeah. And we've been streaming for about almost exactly 2 hours. If oh, and it's 9:45. Alright, we might have to call it there. I've really enjoyed this. It's getting a bit late though, so we might have to end it, unfortunately. But yeah, and I'm really looking forward to animating the fire behind him. I think this is gonna really come together nicely. have your Blender vids saved. I had no idea you could do this tweening with art in Blender. Yeah, no, I love cutout animation in Blender. I think it's really cool. Bye, Lysias. I hope you all enjoyed the stream. Thanks for coming. Hopefully I'll do another one soon to finish up the fire effects, and then eventually we'll get to compositing and make it look really pretty, you know, and we'll do some background art, that sort of thing. All right.